Sound, a group of vibrant.
From the beginner to the professional, from the novice to the master, from playing around, experimenting with things to create a masterpiece. These are all the elements of art. And on this show, our art is sound. Hi, folks. This is LV Smith. Yes, it's been a while, but we're getting things up. We're starting to get some great talent. And boy, do I have a surprise for you. This is going to be our first international production, and I can't think of a better person to bring on this show. Is an amazing trumpeter, fantastic on trumpet, Mr. Jawara Adams from Nassau, Bahamas. Give him a big hand.
Thank you, LV.
It's so good
Thank
to
you,
see you.
everyone. So good to see you too.
Oh, yeah. You don't know how long I've been pining for this.
It's so good to be here.
I've been doing some serious pining. Well, let's get down to the real nitty gritty. What makes Jawara Adams Jawara?
That beautiful light, that soul, what came into my mom's stomach and made this body. Coming from the heavens above, that beautiful aura, my energy, that spark that created me. Because I always feel like being a light, this ball of light that comes into the body and makes me who I am. So yeah, my charisma and my love for everybody, and my passion for life with the music, and as I grow, I formed into myself, but it comes from that light. That's from the soul first.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, here now we get to my favorite question. I want you to dig back in your memory banks, far as you can remember, and remember what was the very first sound you ever remember hearing.
At 4 years old, when I learned to speak, and it didn't take me long to speak, like my mom said. And my dad is a trumpet player, as you know, and my granddad. But growing up and as a child, I heard the music because my dad used to play, Miles Davis and stuff like that. And when I got about 4 years old and I could talk and ask so many questions, I was like, Daddy, what's that? And he educated me about Miles Davis and stuff like that because Miles is his idol. So it was this album called Brew from Miles Davis. And I had
The
this
Bean
jungle
Brew.
and had this jungle type rhythm. And I could have what my daddy did for me was let me be able to visualize first. So I said, Daddy, what Miles doing? Because I saw the picture with Miles with the trumpet and the Africans, on the album, and the song, the name Miles runs down the voodoo. So Daddy said, listen, he said, close your eyes. See, that's Miles running down the voodoo. So I remembered picturing Miles with the trumpet running down this African guy with the spear, through a cornfield or something as at 4. So as I grow and grow and grow and grow and listen, I started, imagining things from, through the music. So the first songs I heard was that album. I remember that album because my dad bought Miles every year. Every year Miles did an album. I was there to hear it. So that was like the first songs I ever heard, other than my daddy practicing and stuff like that. He always played that Brew album when I was a little boy until I was able to learn how to try right, and I wrote up all over the record, But that was the first sound I could say I heard because I was able to talk and ask questions about it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Now this gets a little trickier. What was the very first sound that motivated you to actually grab the trumpet and do it?
Going to Le Cabaret Theater. My dad was a lead trumpet player at Le Cabaret Theater. It's a show, that has acrobats, lions and tigers, and a Bahamian scene, and it was in the casino, and Paradise Island. And he used to take me to the show, sit me down on this crate, and I used to watch the show from because the bandstand was in the balcony, a booth. So all the great trumpet players like Samson, he was a trumpet player that wrote Funky Nassau. He gave me my first trumpet, and it was my teacher who ended up being my teacher, Jarvis, Melvin Jarvis, and all these great, all the greats, and along with my dad. And when I heard, I was to sit between my daddy and Samson, Neville Samson, and I used to hear the way they play clean and the power, it used to make my heart beat, and I felt that. So the opportunity for my daddy let me come to the show. Sometimes he have a 3-show night, 2-show night. I say, Daddy, I could come to the show. He say, not tonight. It's a 3-show night. Didn't know I could withstand it, not fall asleep. But he
Mm.
say, then one day he turn around and say, okay, you could come tonight. And when he said that, I was right there, and I spent the first show watching, and then I go sit down between them, and I always like to draw. So whilst they playing, sometimes I drawing on the stand. And so, but I was hearing that at a young age. I managed to, and as I grew, I got into the trumpet when my grandmother passed in 1990. That's when I picked it up because her dream was for me to play an instrument. And I took it up without my daddy even knowing. He didn't even know. I was
Wow.
stealing his jazz records. So when the house burned down in 1987, his house, he's like, "Oh, I know my record's gone." I said, "Daddy, your records ain't gone. The only thing I left there was Mahalia Jackson and the Cooling Waters." He said, "What? My records ain't going?" So my stepmom was helping me with that because every time my dad go to the show, she made sure I had like four records, 5 records. And that's how I found my favorite trumpet players and stuff like that because we had a record player. So I was young, I was taking care of the record player and stuff like that. But that was my first motivation. That same the cabaret show. Yeah,
Fa-
yeah.
Fabulous. Fabulous. I mean, man, I'm going to have to do more than one show with you. I mean, seriously, you have
I love
knowledge.
that. I love that. I appreciate you finding me, and all the way in the Bahamas. To say I am so happy that you found me. I'm happy. It makes me feel so good, man. I appreciate
We,
this.
we're going to play a little sample of what you do. Fortunately, we got a few snippets of you playing. So, folks, check out Mr. Jawara Adams at work on his trumpet.
Hello there. I'm Jawara Adams, and you're watching Sounds Within.
Hey, I'm David Dodd Hale from Blind Lemon Peel, and I gotta tell you, I'm a big fan of anybody who can play the guitar.
Morning, Gary. We are GetSchooled.com. You want a college education, don't you?
You know you do.
Yeah, but I don't know where to start. That's why we're here. We're free, handsome,
Oh, I think we're breathtaking.
and here to guide you through every step of the way, starting with attendance. Gary, financial aid forms. Biology homework, G. I got this. Is that Bran? Colleges love extracurricular activities.
Chess really isn't my thing.
I got this. Doesn't matter. Go ahead. Picking a college, man. You and us. We go together like tacos and Tuesday.
And I love tacos.
Fire and ice.
Those don't really go together.
Go to getschool.com for more info.
Hey, it's Amin L. And Thursday night is live with Jeff Hodge. Come on down and check him out.
Wow. That is so mind blowing. Folks, I'm going to tell y'all something here. Too often in America, yes, our country, we do not want to expose our children to the highest form of music that originated on the Western Hemisphere, which ties to the mother continent, whether you call it Kabylon or Africa. That's where this music originated and manifested over here when it was exposed to the enslaved people who freed themselves and they start playing from the soul. This is some great stuff appreciated from all around the world, be it China, be it India, be it Western Europe, Eastern Europe, all over. This is our music. Do not deprive your children if they aim to go there. You are depriving them. Getting back to our man Jawara here, man, we got to get back into you. Here you exposed that very young age to get this. So we need to find out, what did it take, or what does it take for anybody who really wants to dive into diaspora of music called jazz? What does it take?
Well, it's a really understanding, and I think listening to the music and being able to, listen to it to a point where you could be emotionally affected by what you hear, how my daddy had the albums. I grew and grew and grew, and then I learned about, Lee Morgan. I learned, I watched Wynton Marsalis on TV because when I was young there was no YouTube and there was no Facebook. So I always wanted to see, go and see those musicians in real life, and still I haven't been able to. But I collected records as I grew, and I was able to do little jobs and make my own money. And I used to go to Miami and go to Blue Note. And I love Lee Morgan, I love Miles. And when I went to those places and I saw all those albums, what they did, I if I went to Miami with $1,000, I spent probably 700 on just CDs alone. And my mom used to be like, "I know your first stop. I know where we gotta go. We gotta go to Blue Note." And I didn't care. She went in the mall shopping and I'm opening CDs. I don't, go ahead, mom. I'm gonna sit right here at this bench till you're ready to go. But I think the listening to it, because it's a language, and the people that played it, you know, I understood as I got older, like, hey, you gotta practice. You got to. And when Lee Morgan or Miles or those musicians play, it's their life they're playing. As I grew, I said these guys playing their life. The swagger, the way they are is, their whole self, and style and stuff like that. They be able to play it through the notes. So something had emotionally affected them to do what they did. Nowadays I see musicians. I always go on YouTube to learn what they're doing in New York and stuff like that, and I learn about transcribing. And to me, listening to your greats and copying what they do on your instrument, it's just like you shadow boxing, or you learning, how to go through a obstacle course with your favorite person. But at the end of the day, when you come out, you have to they show you what you have to do for yourself, more like, not copy, but they show you what they went through to get where they get. So I was like, hey, you gotta think. I gotta get my study books. I gotta find out which books will work for me. I gotta learn these things because there's so much to go behind music to get the instrument to be at a point where you have an idea you can execute. So I had to practice to get the trumpet, at least nail my idea. So if I have an idea floating in my head, I could execute it. And from Miles and stuff, you play what you feel inside. You be honest. So I don't have to play 100 notes in 2 minutes. If one note I feel that from the bottom of my heart, sincerely, that's the note what will make me feel good and make the listener feel good because I was true to that note. So I understood, listening to those musicians and to see how it has to affect you, you know, just like listening to, guys like reggae guys, people like rock and roll, you know, it affects them somewhere to, to a certain capacity. And then when it affects you where you're a musician and you want to play that, you have to dig deep, and it forces you to dig deep and listen deeper. like sometimes I go to perform and like, not everybody is used to jazz music, or when you play sometimes they go to clap or they don't know where to start or where to finish. Even the listener has to mature in their ear to be able to receive and understand what you're doing. So it's just a continuous growth. And my son at 4 years old, JJ, he could tell you who's Miles, he could tell you who's Lee Morgan. And I say, how you know that's Miles Davis playing the mute? Because he sound like a little child on a trumpet. That's what he said. So it has to you instill everything in them, I think, because even I play 80s music around the house. My kids at 4 years old, they could tell you they could sing a Hall and Note song, and stuff like that. But it has to it come from small, or being an adult, and it's about absorbing what you hear. You might have I might absorb jazz, but I mightn't absorb rock and roll. But if I absorb uh, a genre, that means that I am affected by what I hear. So that's what I think. So it's a real beautiful thing to start out kids, listening to music, listening to all music, so they could find what they want to, what they enjoy as they grow.
Wow, wow, wow. That is knowledge, man. Here I got so many questions to ask, but then let's just hear a little snippet from you, and we'll get right back.
Thank you. Hello there. I'm Jawara Adams, and you're watching Sounds Within.
What to expect when you're expecting
Like here.
a teenager.
Today, I'm going to show you how to team-proof your home. First step, hide the car keys. Preferably somewhere they would never look. Challenges will come up. Be ready for them. Hi, honey.
I'm ready for the... Mom, you don't use mannequins in the mannequin challenge.
You don't have to know it all to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Hello, my friends. You're watching Behind the Curtains, and my name is Michelle Leclerc.
The black truck? Hey, Christina from accounting.
Yeah, hi.
Hey, I used to date a girl named Christina.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then she dumped me for my best friend. You want to see some photos of them that I took?
I don't.
I thought we talked about this, buddy.
Buzzed and overshared again?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna call a car.
That's a smart idea.
So, yeah, I know, that's why I did it.
Hey, you're gonna get back to the top of the mountain.
Does that mean I'm gonna get back with Christina?
No.
Oh.
No.
We're the Reactions, and you're watching the Arroyo channel.
Wow. There's so much to take in. I need more of your music, brother. You're going to have to bring more stuff, man.
I'm going to do some recordings for you. I will do that live.
I'm holding you to that. I'm going to hold you to that.
Right.
Now, on our show, we have this demon, as I mentioned before, called time. Time is cruel. It forgives no one. Once it's taken away, it's gone. Unless somehow you record it is never to be heard or seen again. But we want to make sure we hear and see what you have to offer. So you are coming back. I am definitely counting you to come back because there's too much I need to hear from you. What advice do you have for the future Jawara Adams who decide to play trumpet or organ or drums or whatever? What advice do you have to give to the audience?
Well, keep being an eternal student. Whatever you do in the music or whenever you decide to, just keep being an eternal student, meaning that you never reach the final crystallization of anything. There's no best in any form of the arts. Some might say, hey, you're the best or you're doing good, that's great, but keep being an eternal student, you know. I mean, you never stop learning, you know, don't care how older you get, and you can learn so many things, you know, as time passes. And just listen, keep listening to the music, listen to everything, listen to the whole universe. You'll be surprised to know what you grasp at or what moves you emotionally. And that's my most thing to say to anybody who want to get into music. Just be an eternal student. Never stop being that. Never stop, you know, stop being a student. You know, there's no final crystallization. There's no best this, there's no best that. There's room for everybody, and there's room for everybody to improve. And sometimes music don't just be a lesson by the books or by teaching. It has to come from living, and then you play the notes that match how you feel and who you are, and always be true to yourself and whatever you do. You know, whatever you hear, whatever. If you hear something a great musician play, don't be afraid to get up and copy it if it affects you a lot, because what happens is you digest that, and that opens up 50 more ideas to show you how to express yourself. But being an eternal student all the way through life is the best thing I could tell you, because you'll always be open and always be ready to accept anything the universe puts in your ear, you know, and it'll come out through your instrument, you know. So, and be an eternal student.
I have to agree with that. I no longer use the term the best ever for anyone that somebody experienced. Like I heard Alan Holdsworth, who touched me very much on guitar. And I say, well, he's the best ever all the time because who's doing this and blah, blah, blah. Then on bass guitar, which is something I'm striving to get decent on, there's this young woman, I saw her as a child on YouTube playing a 5-string bass guitar. She looked like she was like a kindergartner, but she was like, I guess at the time, 10 to 12 years old. And I thought, what's she gonna do? Play her ABC, something like that, but I just killed the sign that I didn't want to hear. And I see her fingers moving in a crazy way I never heard. She's only probably now in her mid-20s, but she's the most frightening thing I ever heard. And when I finally heard, I go, holy moly. And then there's someone now following her who's a teen. So I just say, well, you're the best in your time. I've gone to that. Yeah, so that's the term I use. You may be the best recognized in your time. So that comes so true. Now, my brother, how can the audience get in contact with you?
Well, I live in the Bahamas, and I perform, you know, locally and stuff like that. I'm gonna try put more videos on YouTube and you know, put them out there. And you know, I do jobs, you know, abroad. I did stuff in the U.S. A few times, but my dream is to you know, move into another environment. You know, I would love to come to the U.S. and learn from the greats there and continue to grow.
You
know,
will.
I did, yes, I did a lot of stuff for people that came over and record the recording studio we had called Compass Point. And you know, Josh Stone, she's a performer. and Widespread Panic, and a few people that comes and I play trumpet for, but being a solo artist now is what I'm interested in.
Great.
But
How can the audience contact you?
well, Jawara Adams. I have to put out a web page, but
You said YouTube? You're on YouTube.
Yeah, I have videos on YouTube, but my contacts, you know, I over here I have cards, but I don't have anything really internationally. But
Do you have email? Do you have email?
jwalkham@hotmail.com.
Okay, we'll put that out. But as I said, that demon called time is upon us. So, but you are coming back.
Yes, I'd love to. But yes, and bring some gifts, bring some music for you, and everything like that.
Be you with a guest or not, we want you back. As a matter of fact, I want you back for my next episode because you have too much to share.
Thank you so much,
folks. It's hard to say goodbye, but that demon time is a real beast. But we will be back. So this is LV Smith of Sounds Within, wishing you are having a great time and look to see Jawara Adams again in a very near new episode. Peace to all.
Thank you, everybody.
Hello, we're the group Alice.
And you're watching
the Arroyo channel.
Stay tuned.